The Bill of Rights. The United States was a young nation in 1787. American colonists fought the British in the Revolutionary War and no longer lived under their rule. Americans had to create a government that would keep their new country together. The U.S. Constitution was written by representatives at a convention. It was almost never ratified. Some states refused to ratify it if a Bill of Rights was not added. A Bill of Rights protected people from unjust rulers. George Washington was the first president under the new Constitution. He agreed that the Constitution needed a Bill of Rights. Purpose. James Madison wrote the first 10 amendments. The list was narrowed down to 12, but the states only ratified 10 of them in December 1791. They became known as the Bill of Rights. They protect all Americans and are still a part of people's daily lives today. It describes important rights and freedoms of American citizens and makes sure they will not be taken away. The First Amendment. The First Amendment allows the rights known as the 5 freedoms. This includes the freedoms of religion, speech, the press, to assemble, and to petition. The government cannot establish an official religion, and people can practice whatever religion they want. Americans are allowed to discuss their opinions. Freedom of the press protects authors and publishers. They cannot be told what to write or publish. People are allowed to assemble or gather peacefully. The freedom to petition allows Americans to ask the government for changes. Second Amendment. The Second Amendment protects the rights to keep and bear arms. This means people can have weapons. People have differing opinions about this amendment and what it means. The purpose of this amendment was to give the people the right to protect themselves. The Third Amendment does not often apply to modern life. It says people cannot be forced to shelter soldiers. The only exception is when a war takes place on American soil. There are still rules that limit where soldiers can go. This amendment was important in the 1700s when American colonists were often forced to house British soldiers. The Fourth Amendment. The Fourth Amendment defends property and privacy. Officials sometimes want to search people's homes. For example, police officers sometimes need to look for evidence if a crime has been committed. The Fourth Amendment limits searches. Warrants are often required to search someone's property. People often do not receive fair trials in colonial America. The Fifth Amendment lists several rights, most of which relate to trials. People do not have to testify against themselves. They can refuse to answer questions in court, known as pleading the Fifth. The amendment describes grand juries too. They study the evidence to decide whether there is enough evidence to try a case. The Fifth Amendment also protects people against double jeopardy or being tried twice for the same crime. Sixth and Seventh Amendments. The Sixth Amendment promises a speedy and public trial. People can be tried soon after they are charged with crimes. They have the right to a lawyer to help defend them. People have the right to a trial by jury of American citizens who will help decide whether they are guilty. The Seventh Amendment is similar to the Sixth Amendment, but it's about civil and not criminal trials. These are between people or groups. The Eighth Amendment does not allow cruel and unusual punishments. The Founding Fathers wanted to protect American citizens from harsh punishments. It also prevents overly high bail money paid to release a person from jail until the trial. Ninth and 10th Amendments. The Bill of Rights names key freedoms, but the founders could not include everything. The Ninth Amendment protects people from other unnamed rights, like the right to privacy. The 10th Amendment is about the powers not named in the Constitution. It gives these powers to the states or the people. It preserves a balance so that states still have some power. Even though the Bill of Rights was written a long time ago, it mostly still applies to everyday life today.